You're listening to Psych to Parent, where we turn brain science into tiny wins at home. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, mom of two, and endurance athlete. I love a good data set and a diagnostic manual. But I also forget permission slips, overthink IEP emails, and occasionally replay the moment I snapped at my kids in the car. In other words, I'm in the messy middle with you, not above it. This show is for parents of big feeling, big thinking kids who are tired of vague advice and Pinterest perfect behavior charts. Each episode, I'll pull back the curtain on what I see in real evaluations, school meetings, my private practice, and my own kitchen, and translate the research into simple scripts, tiny routines, and nervous system friendly tweaks you can actually use. Think of it as a nervous system rehab meets mindset coaching meets a smart, slightly spicy, non-judgy friend in your earbuds. We'll take one real life challenge at a time and shrink it down into 1 or 2 tiny wins you can start this week. No perfection, no 47-step sticker systems, just small, repeatable shifts that add up over time. Quick legal-ish note in plain English. This podcast is for education and support. It's not therapy, it does not create a clinical relationship, and it's not a substitute for personalized medical or mental health advice. If you're worried about your child's safety or mental health, or your own, please reach out to a trusted professional. Okay, deep breath, drop your shoulders. You're not behind and you're not alone. Let's get psyched to parent. Let me paint a very middle school picture for you. A parent gives their kid a smartphone for totally reasonable reasons. Safety, communication, logistics, independence, and let's be honest, schools are using apps for everything now. So parents feel like, okay, I guess we're doing this. And then a few weeks later, the parent ends up in my office saying, I feel like the phone is running our house. Because what they didn't expect wasn't just screen time. It was the group chat drama, the why wasn't I invited drama, the everyone posted pics and I saw it drama, the someone left me on red drama, the someone took a screenshot of what I said and shared it with the whole grade drama. They made a new chat without me drama. And it hits hard because middle school is basically the social Hunger Games, except now the cafeteria fits in your kid's pocket. So here's the scene. A kid is sitting on their bed, phone in hand, trying to act like they don't care, but their whole nervous system is screaming. And the parent is watching and thinking, I want to fix this. I want to call the other parent. I want to screenshot everything. I want to throw the phone against a wall. I just don't want my kid to feel like this. And also, the parent knows they're about to be the villain if they set a boundary. Because with teens, the phone isn't just a screen. It's belonging. It's identity. It's social safety. It's, did I miss something? And when we say, put it away, sometimes what they hear is, you're cutting me off. So if you're parenting a middle schooler or a high schooler and you feel like smartphones and social media has turned into this parenting 24/7 negotiation, you're in the right place. Welcome back to Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, school psychologist, mom of two, endurance athlete, and parent of 2 big feeling, big hearted kiddos. Today is the middle and high school edition of screens, smartphones, and social media. Here's what I'm going to help you do in this episode. Understand why phones and social media are so sticky for teen brains in plain language. Make boundaries around bedtime, homework, and family connection that are firm and not shamey. Handle group chat drama without turning into the family crisis manager. And this matters. We're going to shine a light on our own behavior as parents too. Because kids learn what's, quote, normal from the environment they live in. And we can't ask kids to build stop skills if we model, I literally can't stop myself. Not perfectly, not obsessively, but intentionally. What fits your child and your family. Let's normalize the messy middle. This is not like little kids and iPads. With teens, phones are wrapped up in belonging, status, anxiety, fear of missing out, and honestly, social survival. So if you've had thoughts like, if I take it, they'll hate me. If I don't take it, I'm enabling this. I can't tell what's normal teen stuff anymore. Every boundary turns into a debate. Yep, that's the landscape. And I want to name something I see all the time in my clinical work. Parents take on their kids' feelings, especially around exclusion. It feels personal when your kid is hurt. It pokes at your own stuff, and it makes you want to fix it fast. But here's the tricky part. You're usually hearing the story from your child's perspective, which matters, but it may not include the full context. And in text, tone and context don't come through. So misunderstandings multiply. And sometimes our own kids contribute to dynamics too, and they don't always see that. So our job becomes steady, structured, curious, and not reactive. Let's talk about the brain science and the why behind the behavior in our kids and teens. Okay, brain science without the lecture. Teen brains are built for peer feedback. I love adolescence. It's one of my favorite ages of kids to work with for therapy and counseling in my practice. It's like watching a soap opera every time a kid comes into session. But then I have the privilege of being able to listen to them validate emotions and help them problem solve. It's the best. Now, adolescence is a brain phase where peer belonging is a major driver. There's social acceptance and rejection. They feel bigger. So the phone isn't just entertainment like we see with younger grades and younger kiddos. It's social information. And social information, it feels urgent. Here's another piece. Dopamine, which is in the brain, is all about seeking. And it's not so much about happiness as it is about seeking. Dopamine is less pleasure and more seeking and drive. Phones and apps are designed to keep seeking turned on. We scroll, check, refresh, reply, repeat. Ding, 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 go the notifications. And a lot of it is unpredictable. Sometimes you get a reward, sometimes you don't. Unpredictability is what keeps the brain checking. I think one of the tricky things with the technology is switching costs are real, especially when it comes to homework. When teens do homework with notifications popping off, that's not multitasking. That's task switching. And switching back and forth makes focus harder, and it makes it harder to return to the original task at hand. So if your teen says, I can't focus, and they're getting notifications nonstop, that's not laziness, that's mechanics. Okay, here's the part I want to hit harder, and this is what I call the mirror. Here's my hot take. A lot of parents are modeling the exact phone behaviors they don't want their own kids to do. And teens, they notice. They watch everything that you do as adults. Kids will tell me in session, Dr. Amy, I'm talking to my mom or my dad, and they're scrolling on their phone. My parents tell me I can't use my phone at the dinner table, but my dad's on his phone. They're not making eye contact with me when they're talking. They're only half listening. They nod when I tell them something, but they're not really there. And here's the tough part. Teens interpret that as, what I'm saying doesn't matter. I'm competing as a person with this rectangular device in their hand. There's a name for this in the research. They call this technoference. Technology interfering with relationships and interactions. And the research, especially in young kids, shows that when parents are frequently pulled into devices and the research, especially in younger children, shows that when parents are frequently pulled into devices around their kids, it's associated with less optimal child outcomes and higher child screen time. And in adolescent-focused research, parental phubbing or technoference is linked with poor teen mental health and relationship quality. Now, let me be very clear. This is not your phone ruined your kid. This is attention is protective. And teens still need it, even if they act like they don't. So here's the practical application. You don't need to be phone free all day. And I love the structure you use at home. You need few protected windows where your kid gets your full presence. Here's how I structure this in my home. In my house, I try to put my phone down around 6 p.m. I'm present from 6 to 8. In my house, that looks like dinner, time for connection, games, bedtime rhythm and routine. And then I check it later if I need to. That is a beautiful model of stopping. That's me saying, I can stop, you can stop. We build that muscle in this house together. Before we go into the school piece, here's your school psych in your back pocket. Think of this like the way we build a plan at school without turning it into a moral debate. In school psych terms, smartphones are a perfect storm for reinforcement plus cues plus social reward. So instead of arguing about screen time, we define the 3 protected domains: sleep, school focus, and mental health. Then we build friction in the environment because willpower is not a plan. Here's your quick tool: a phone trigger audit for 48 hours. Just notice, when do they spiral into the phone most? When does your teen spiral into the phone the most? Is it boredom, anxiety, homework avoidance, loneliness, or social checking? Once you know the trigger, you match it with a replacement option that still meets the need. Maybe it's connection, regulation, or information, but with guardrails around it. And if your teen melts down when you set limits, that doesn't automatically mean the limit is wrong. It usually means the phone is doing a job your child's nervous system doesn't know how to do yet. So your job as a parent is to be empathic, firm, and structured. Not constant negotiating, not constant policing, structured. Here's the bottom line: structure protects the relationship. That's the point. Let's translate this to school, because this is where parents get whiplash. Some schools have no phones out kind of rule, but enforcement is inconsistent. Some teachers allow phones, others don't. And then kids are told they need to check apps for grades or assignments. And from a kid's perspective, the easiest device is the phone, even if it's not the best device. So here's what I want parents to say to schools. And here's a script you can borrow from me. Can you clarify the school-wide phone policy and how it's enforced across classrooms? My child is telling me the expectations are different teacher to teacher. What is the consistent expectation? If students need to check assignments or submit work, what is the intended device for that? A Chromebook, iPad, computer? Because phone access is creating distraction. Or you can even say, can you clarify expectations around appropriate help with assignments? What's okay as a tool versus what crosses into copying and pasting or academic integrity issues? You're not being dramatic when you ask these questions. You are asking for consistency, because consistency is what allows kids to build habits. Let's talk about what this looks like in real life. Okay, there are a couple windows where I see this happen with kids in my practice. First one is after school. This is when kids oftentimes need to decompress and fall into the habit of checking what's going on their socials. After school, teens want to reconnect socially. So they check their group chats, their Snapchats, they scroll, they look for reassurance. If you try to shut that down hard every day, it can become a power struggle. So try creating a landing pad. Maybe it's a chance to have a snack and decompress, a planned phone window, and then an off-ramp into homework, dinner, and extracurricular practices. You're not banning connection, you're trying to shape it here. Another area where I see it is homework, and hearing kids say, I need my phone for school. Sometimes it's true. Often, it's a little exaggerated. So instead of a no phone policy, try purposeful phone use. That can be putting the phone on Do Not Disturb, turning notifications off, putting the phone face down and out of reach. And if they truly need it for a task, they use it for that task only. You can say something like this to your kid. If you need it for school, you can use it like a tool. Tools don't live in your hand the whole time. Another window where I see phones come up is dinner time, where we want to protect the connection and protect your relationship with your child. Dinner is a high impact boundary because it's symbolic. It communicates, you don't compete with phones in this family. So you can have a simple rule. Phones parked during dinner, and that same rule applies to adults too. And if you want to go one notch deeper, add a re-entry question at dinner. What was a high and a low today? Who'd you sit with at lunch? What felt annoying today? What felt good today? What's something you are proud of that you did? It's not an interrogation, it's a bridge, an opportunity to connect. And here's the fun thing. You can ask those questions to your kids, but you can also have your kids ask you the same questions. A final area where I see phones pop up with kids is around bedtime. And we want to have a non-negotiable boundary here. If there's one boundary that pays off quickly, it's sleep protection. Phones at night are a perfect storm for scrolling, dopamine seeking, FOMO, impulsive responding, poor sleep, having a worse mood the next day, and then needing to use the phone more to cope. So having do not disturb hours and charging stations outside of the bedroom, that's a great boundary to have. This isn't punishment. This is health and taking care of yourself. And oftentimes our kids need us to put that boundary in place for them. Here's a big feeling kid reframe and what their behavior might be saying. When teens get intense about their phones, they might be saying, if I'm not online, I'm socially unsafe. You don't understand what I'll miss. This is where my people are. This helps me avoid feeling anxious. I can't tolerate the discomfort of not checking. And that tells us something important. You can be firm and empathic, not permissive, not punitive. Skill building plus structure plus relationships. Here's some pairing scripts that you can try. Script number 1, values and connection. Phones are a tool and a resource. They don't make up for connection. We protect family time. Script number 2, having a dinner boundary and modeling it. Our house rule is no phones at dinner. Mine too. Phones parked here until we're done. Script number 3, having a nighttime plan. Do not disturb starts at 10 p.m. Your phone charges in the kitchen. I'm protecting your sleep, not punishing you. Script number 4, group chat pause. You don't have to respond right now. Take a breath, read it again in 10 minutes, then decide. And you can say, if it still feels hot in 10 minutes, we wait longer. Here are the tiny wins for this week. Pick one, one's enough. Tiny win number 1, choose one protected connection window where there's no phones. For example, it might be from 6 to 8 o'clock at night, we put our phones down and have family time. Tiny win number 2, create a nighttime plan. This can look like putting your phone on do not disturb and having a charging station outside of your kid's bedroom. Tiny win number 3, a homework focus plan. This can look like having your kid put their phone to do not disturb, turning off notifications, maybe their phone's out of reach, and using their phone for purposeful use only. Tiny win number 4, the group chat pause skill. You can teach your kiddo not responding immediately is allowed. That's regulation and that's power. Tiny win number 5, one repair moment from you. When you catch yourself scrolling as a parent while your kid's talking, you can say, I got distracted. I'm sorry, that's on me. Let's try that again. I'm listening. Here's the question I want you to reflect on. Where's your teen's phone use most connected to belonging anxiety? And what boundary can you hold that protects sleep and mental health while still helping them feel socially safe? If you want help making this doable, join the Tiny Wins email list. Small, realistic changes that actually fit real life. And make sure you grab the Big Feelings Decoder. It's linked in the show notes. Because you don't need a perfect plan. You need a plan you can repeat. If you have a middle or high school kid who's melting down about their phone, sneaking it, doom scrolling, or turning every boundary into a debate team tryout, I want you to hear this. You're not a bad parent, and your teen isn't broken. This stuff is hard for real reasons. Phones and social media tap directly into belonging, novelty, and seeking. And teens are doing the most important developmental job of their life, figuring out who they are and where they fit. The problem is, now the cafeteria fits in their pocket. You're learning, your teen is learning, and you're learning together. And if you want more help, you're in the right place. We'll keep making the homeschool puzzles less mysterious together. We'll keep making the phone boundary moment feel a little less explosive, one tiny win at a time. Phones are a tool and a resource. They don't make up for connection. You're not failing, and neither's your kid.
Thank you for hanging out with me on Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, your not so typical school psychologist, and I'm genuinely glad you're here doing this work instead of quietly white knuckling it and blaming yourself. Your tiny win from today's episode is simple. Do not overhaul your entire parenting style. Pick one idea, one sentence, or one tiny shift and try it in a low stakes moment this week. Then notice what changes, even if it is just by 1%. If you want more support, head over to psych2parent.com. You'll find show notes, simple scripts, and parent-friendly guides that go with these episodes. While you're there, make sure you join the Tiny Wins mailing list so you get weekly brain-based tips, real-life examples from my work with families, and first dibs on new workshops and resources. It's the easiest way for us to stay connected beyond the podcast. If this podcast was helpful, it really does matter when you tap follow or subscribe. Leave a quick review or text it to a friend who is parenting a big-feeling, big-hearted kid too. This podcast is for education and encouragement. It is not therapy, and it's not a substitute for individualized care. If you're worried about your child or yourself, please reach out to a trusted professional in your area. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are building something new, one tiny win at a time. I'll see you in the next episode, probably with a cold coffee in hand, cheering you on.